All right, we're doing something a little different today because, as you can see, the weather's crap. It started raining about 6 o'clock last night and basically hasn't stopped. And when I left the house, we had 1.5 inches. And we still got about 4 hours to go before this finally moves off, at least according to the Weather Channel. But that's not why we're here. We're here for this guy. And this will make a whole lot more sense in a minute when I can get outside. But we're gonna start the first little bit of this video in the truck because it's raining and I can't have my visual aids getting wet before you see what's going on. So what we have here are two aerial photographs of the Oliver South Bend Plow Works. This one I got directly from the South Bend Historical Society yesterday, and this one I actually managed to find online last night while I was doing a little bit of digging. And I'm going to put a link to the website where I got this photograph, because the guy that did the website actually got to come here and take pictures in the 2002-2004 time frame, when demolition had just begun, and he has some ground photographs of the buildings in this picture prior to their demolition. And I got this photo from that website, but this came from the South Bend Economic Development Division, so I didn't feel bad taking it. The other photographs are his proprietary. He took them, so I didn't want to steal them for the purpose of making this video. So that's why I will link the video, or link his website in the description, so that if you want to, you can go see pictures of these buildings in the state they were in the early 2000s, right prior to demolition. So this photograph, they believe, was taken sometime between 1948 and 1954. And I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but most of the cars that are in this picture are like, they have that very 1940s coupe design look to them. So I'm guessing that this is closer to 48, 49. Because there are some buildings that show up in this photo that were built during a 1948 expansion, so it would have to be in that time frame. And if it was newer than 50, I'm guessing you would start seeing some more 50 style vehicles in there, which you don't see. So I'm guessing that this is 48, 49-ish. That's just my educated guess. And then this, judging by some of the vehicles you see in the background, is probably late 90s, early 2000s. Obviously a long time after the building went derelict because of all the trees growing up. But as you can see, comparing these two photos, just how much it changed from, just say 1950 at the height of everything, to basically most of the changes that happened in between this photo and this photo actually occurred in the 60s. So, well, we'll start with this photo. So, these two buildings right here are part of the original build. These were office buildings, or office administration buildings, and I guess I should back up even further yet, because I got notes. So, oh, and just for reference, that building right there is the boiler house, which is right there. So we are currently parked right here in front of this building. So Oliver bought this site in 1874 for $30,000. It was 32 acres. It was part of a farm known as the Perkins Farm. And I couldn't find an inflation calculator that went back past 1913. So in 1913 dollars, that would have been 1913 to today's dollars. Today, that would have been $923,664 today, which for an industrial property even seems a little cheap. But anyway, So this was actually Oliver's third location in South Bend. James Oliver's original foundry was actually lost in a fire. He recovered from that, built a new foundry down on what's known as the west race of the St. Joe River, and that became known as the Lower Works. And then this property was purchased in 1874 when they needed to expand foundry operations. The initial build was 5 buildings, totaling 200,000 square feet of manufacturing and office space. So these buildings right here would have been part of that first build. There was a 600 horse Harris steam engine, which would have been located in this building right here. This was the powerhouse, and that provided power for the plant, both steam and electric, when the time came to electrify. And the plant first began operation in its original form on January 17th, 1876. So they had about a 2-year build time between buying the property and firing everything up for the first time. But it was originally known as the South Bend Iron Works, which was incorporated in 1868. It didn't actually become the Oliver Chilled Plow Works until 1901, when South Bend Iron Works was incorporated and the name was rechanged to Oliver Chilled Plow Works. Prior to that point, the Oliver Chilled Plow trademark was adopted in 1870, and from that point until 1901, this would have been the South Bend Iron Works, makers of the Oliver Chilled Plow, was how it was. So this was the first build. There was some other buildings here that got expanded on. And the vast majority of the expansion that you see here took place between 1876 and about 1911 was when the major expansions were, and then there was obviously other smaller buildings added. But in that time frame between 1876 and 1911, this building, this warehouse, the boiler house, the powerhouse was part of the powerhouse, and the smokestack were part of the first build. The smokestack actually predates the powerhouse. If I remember right, the smokestack dates back to 1888, if I remember right. This building, that building, most of this, that all is in that 1876 to 1911 time frame. And I was able to find a legend to tell you what some of these buildings are, but I was not able to find one that went back as old as this photo. Basically everything I found went with this photo, but I'm going to show you on this one because this one shows the entire complex before major changes started happening. So number 1 actually doesn't exist in this photo. That is this right here. This big original manufacturing area was demolished and replaced by this building in 1967. This was the new administration building and employee parking lot. This building should be this building right here with some changes. Mostly to the roof. Number 2, which is located right here, which is that building, in this photo might not have been its original use, but by the time this photo came around, this building was experimental engineering. Number 3, which is this building right here, and that building right there, was the powerhouse, like I said. Number 4, this building, the one we're in front of right now, was the boiler house. Number 5, which is this building right here, was cut punch maintenance, and that one is also cutting, punching, and maintenance. So basically steel cutting, hole punching, and some maintenance facilities worked out of here. Number 6 was the Ford shop. That was this big building right here. Number 7, this building right here, was another Ford shop. and I forgot, I should have been telling you dates with these because I wrote down dates. So obviously I said number 1, 1967. Number 2, the experimental development building was built in 1948. A powerhouse was a 1910 build. Boiler house was built, I've seen 2 different dates on the boiler house. One was 1918, one was 1920. And everything I'm giving you here came from South Bend Historical Society or C.H. Wendell, so if it's wrong, blame them. The Cut Punch Maintenance Building, number 5, that was built in 1914. The original Ford shop was built... Oh, nope, I lied. Both Ford shops, this one and this one, it both says were built in 1948. Number 8, which is this building right here, which exists today as this building right here, was base fitting, so that was where they started sub-assemblies for plows. That building was built in 1910. Number 9 was outdoor steel storage. That comprised this area right here and this area right here. And you can see steel racks and stuff kind of scattered throughout. 10 was steel welding and drilling. This building right here, kind of hidden by the smokestack. And it would be this building right here. That was built in 1910. Number 11, this building right here and that building right there was the assembly building, built in 1880, so that was part of the original build. And then number 12, this big C-shaped building behind it, was another assembly building built in a 1910 expansion. That building right there. 13, this guy right here was, or it's actually 13 and 14. These two right here are the warehouse and loading dock. So that building right there, and then the loading dock. This was the truck dock. And there might have been some, it's hard to tell. I think there's a railroad spur that backed up into here too. So, so this would have been probably railroad and truck loading in that dock, 13 and 14. 15 was this building right here, and it actually got there's some stuff in this picture that got cut off when I printed it and I didn't notice it. But this little black building right here, it shows up black, that was another loading building. 16, this building right here and that building right there was the maintenance facility. That was where most of maintenance worked out of. 17 is right here. 17 should be this long one right here. That was the stock room. 18, which is this building right here, and you can't really see it for the trees, but that building right there, that was the receiving building. 19, they had a retention pond for building runoff. And then 20, oh, I forgot my dates again. Maintenance building, 1880. The loading dock and warehouse, both 1909. The stock room, did I say that already? Stock room, 1880. Receiving, 1880. The retention pond didn't have a date. And then number 20, which would have been this building right here, which was actually, they partially demolished this building and repurposed the part they didn't demolish. So this building right here was built in 1907, and by the time it was all said and done, it was just this piece right here. So, hopefully everybody was able to keep up with that. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference between, just like I say, we're just gonna call this 1950. And here, obviously this big building's gone. That building's gone. That building is gone. And all this is gone. And you can see the foundation for that old warehouse building there. Foundation here, foundation here. That's all foundation. And then part of the property over here where the steel storage was had already been redeveloped into something different. So that's basically an overview of, and all these buildings had been demolished too, and then it was on this side of the plant, it was just the receiving, and these original administration buildings were demolished to make room for that expansion right there. So it is amazing how they had all this manufacturing space in 1950, and by this point I bet the area under roof, by the time it was all said and done, had been cut in half at least. So sorry, my voice is getting scratchy on me. I think that's all I needed to get or to show you on these photos. So I guess now, and actually it looks like the rain has slowed down a little bit, so it's a good time for it. We'll get out and walk around a little bit, and I will kind of show you what is what. Alright, so I walked out here, the entrance of the big old industrial park. There's only actually 5 lots here, and only 2 of them are technically occupied. Oh, I guess 3. I didn't realize that Ferguson had moved in here. But anyhow, there is obviously somebody took enough pride to display the Oliver shield on the entrance to the park. We'll walk back up to the boiler house in a few minutes here, but this gives you a good view of the stack. Currently, if we were here in 1950, we would be standing, I need something to pin this thing up against so you can see. We would currently be standing right about here, where my finger is. Basically right off the edge of the smokestack. Where that train's running right now, oh, I think I just did my picture in, maybe. Where that train's running right now was Conrail tracks. I don't know what it would have been before Conrail, but the administration buildings would have been right there in the corner next to the railroad tracks. This is Chapin Street. All of where these buildings right here originally would have been all Oliver worker housing. Oliver actually had a program. When he built this facility, he needed people to work it, and there wasn't enough people local because this was still a big agricultural area, and farmers at that time didn't want to come into town to work. They wanted to stay farming. So Oliver had a program. The company would charter ships to go over to, most of the area they went to was Hungary, Czechoslovakia, that area, and there were a lot of Hungarians here. There were a fair number of Poles here, but kind of that region of Europe. And Oliver would charter ships to go over there, and they would send headhunters out in the countryside with the deal that if you came to work for Oliver and you put in 20 years of service with the company, they would provide you free passage to the United States. They would help get you through customs. They would help you get your citizenship, and they would provide housing for you and your family if you came and provided 20 years of service for the company. And in that picture, we'll come back over here. It's a little too windy. I almost put this thing in one of those sheaths, but then you put it in there and all you can see on the camera is glare. But if you look at this picture, you see a lot of these houses down here, other than a few oddballs, are all basically identical. Especially you look at that row right there and that row right there, all those houses are identical. That was all housing for Oliver workers, and at one time I heard anywhere between 160 and 250 houses were built by Oliver to house Oliver employees. And Dad actually knows a guy who used to work with him who was third generation working for Oliver. The guy's great granddad was a Hungarian, came over here on Oliver's work program. He put in his 20 years, retired out of Oliver. His son put in basically however many years until he retired out of Oliver. And then the grandson, the guy that Dad worked with, John, he put in, basically he worked for Oliver right up until they closed. So there was 3 generations of a Hungarian family right there that we know personally that came over on Oliver's work program and stayed and put in their time basically right up until the bitter end. So, but my picture's all screwed up now. Luckily it's not important. So let me get this folded now where I might be able to. Great camera work here, guys, huh? So now we'd basically be walking up through the middle of the experimental engineering building. Maintenance would be right in here somewhere. These would have been the administration buildings. The original powerhouse would have been basically between the smokestack and the back wall. It would have come out lengthwise like this. And like I say, that smokestack originally was built to service the powerhouse, and then it was built to serve, or then the boiler house was built. And everything went from there. And just a quick, for the boiler house version or portion of this, this was one of only 3 buildings saved from the entire complex. They demolished 32 buildings when it was all said and done. It's been, the interior's been completely gutted, so there's nothing to show you there inside. Basically all I can show you is the building itself and the stack now. Between the city of South Bend and Rose Brick and Materials, which was the original place that bought it, and I guess they got bought out now, and now it's Brickworks, there was $2.7 million. Rose Brick and Material put in 1.7, and then the city of South Bend put up another $1 million to renovate this building, and they completely gutted the interior. There's the boiler, switch gear, everything came out of it, and now it's a showroom for Rose, or Brickworks now. It'll always be Rose Brick to me, but I guess now it's Brickworks. They had to, and there's pictures of the stack completely wrapped in scaffolding. I can't remember how many feet they had to take off the top. It seems like it was 20 or 30 feet of the stack they had to take off to help stabilize it. And then they put the Oliver back on it and redid it. So I guess if we have to have something, it's nice that we got something like this that, you know, you can still see the Oliver flying above the city of South Bend. And then this is the Oliver Memorial. This is a statue of, this would have been James Oliver, and one of his plows. It looks like they must have patented it after a 40, which was a pretty common general purpose walking plow. And they're not actually that hard to find even today. Usually when you find one, it's probably going to be a 40. But they're really nice little brickwork they have going on here. And this is, I literally live 15 minutes from here, and this is my first time ever stepping foot on this memorial. So this is the first time I'm seeing it with you guys. Oh hey, I didn't even know this was here. Well, this is handy. Okay, so this would be basically this picture right here. Wonder if I can get it to stick. Can you stick? Sweet, it'll stick. It's gonna be definitely junk after this. Okay, so this building right here is plant manager, purchasing, payroll, accounting. That building right there. Number 2 is personnel on the first floor, and then second floor and the second floor in the basement were storage. So this building right here, and then apparently this is actually 2 buildings. 2A, production control, conference room, and laboratory. 3, so now I can actually tell you what this big bastard is. 3 is cast iron foundry, and 3, apparently that building was split. Okay, so this one is foundry. This one right here, 3A, is the core room. Number 4, where's number 4? Oh wait, 3, where's 3A? Okay, I lied. 3A, this must be this roof right here. That is the core room. Number 4 is this one right here. That one is the malleable foundry. 5 is raw material storage, and now that I can see that's railroad tracks, so they brought rail cars in there to unload. What is, they don't show what that building is. 6 is this little guy. It must be this little guy right here in the corner. It just says cupolas. 7 looks like it's this right here, is sand storage. 8 is that right there. Experimental engineering, sales, service methods, product engineering. 9 is that long warehouse. That's pattern storage. 10 is the powerhouse. 10A is the boiler house, so we talked about that. 11 is the tool room, so there must be another building on the... Oh, nope, because that shows smokestack, so that's the tool room. It's hard to tell at this angle how many buildings there are stacked up right here. So that building is a tool room. 12, and you can't see it, there was a little guard shack looking thing. 12, fire pump house. 12A, where's 12A? There's 12B, where's 12A? I don't see 12A. I guess we'll skip 12A. Oh, apparently I think they screwed up. There's 12A and 12B, which would be that right there is a deep well pump. So that's a well house. It's marked wrong on here. 13, 14. So 13, 14, 15. 13, 14, 15. This is all warehousing. And then I was right, there's railroad tracks that came in on the loading dock for shipping. Where were we? Past 15, 16 is that long one there, which was stock storage. I think I had that one right. 17, they called that one maintenance, but they're calling it storage, so we're just going to go with storage on that. 18 was a hospital, that building right there, which is demolished in the other picture. 19, which would have to be part of this long building here, is receiving and stock storage. 20, so I guess that's assembly. 20A is annex stock. 21 is assembly. 21A is a dry room, that little guy right there. 21B, 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 21B You can't see in this picture, it's off the back here. That was welding storage. 22 must be that little building right there is oil storage. 23 is that group of roofs right there, is drilling. 24, which doesn't look like you can see well on this picture. 24 would have been right there. That's an inspection and washroom. 25 and 26 are these long rooms right. No, 25. It must have been these two rooms right here. Our drill room and cut-off punch room. 27, which was part of this, looks like half of this long building here, is steel storage. 27B, which is the other half, is a forge room. 28 is cut, punch, and maintenance, so we had that one right on the first try. 29, which is this building right here, is a temper and grind room. 30 was the other forge shop. We had that one right. 30A is more steel storage. That must not have been in this picture because you can't see it unless it was outdoor. 31, which was this building right here, is a print shop. 32, which actually is sections of this long building right here. So 32, 33, 34 is all this building right here. 32 wood shop, 33 wheel shop, 34 branch sales. And it looks like there was more rail line came along there. So this branch line came off here, went into shipping and receiving, came back, went into shipping, came back, went into steel storage, and then came back here. So I didn't even know any of this stuff was here, so that makes life easier. I wish I'd have known this was here and I'd have skipped that whole first part in the truck. And then Conrail tracks right here. So apparently by the time it was all said and done, it looks like there was 1,292,522,000 square feet under roof and 49 acres. And we'll go back because a couple of these buildings still exist too. So my picture's finally done, it's soaked. And this is all going through the merger to form White Farm Equipment in 1960. They skipped over, unless they show it, they skipped over the 1929 merger that actually formed Oliver Farm Equipment. So here is how it became Oliver Farm Equipment. Oliver Little and Company would have been his first, then that became South Bend Iron Works, and that's what started down on the West Race at his second location. Then it became Oliver Chilled Plow Works. And then these PP Mast, Hoosier Seed Drill, Empire Drill, Brickford and Hoffman, and Superior Seed, those all merged to form American Seeding Machine. Hartpar became Hartpar Tractor, and Nichols and Shepherd is where the initial harvesting line came from. And then Chilled Plow, Hartpar, Nichols, Shepherd, and American Seeding merged in 1929 to form a full line company that we know today as Oliver Farm Equipment. Some building construction. That must be James Oliver's sarcophagus. This would be on top of the warehouse. So this would be on top of the warehouse building where the loading dock came in. Largest electric sign in the United States, 250 feet in length, 42 feet high, 59 feet long from tip to tip of Plow. And workers' homes under construction. This says west of factory, so that would have been over there. So apparently this stuff over here was not. I thought it was. And then actually Studebaker, you got to go down past this intersection to Sample Street, and Studebaker would have been, if we were standing here, you'd be able to see Studebaker. And this is the original foundry, or the second foundry along the west race. And then this would be the main office. This would be right here in the corner. There's the original set of railroad tracks. And this St. Joe Iron Works would be where James Oliver interned and learned the foundry trade. Oh, and then this is a blown up picture of this right here. So I thought this was all worker housing. Apparently it's this back here that's all worker housing. Not to say there wasn't worker housing down here, but at least where that picture is, that's worker housing. And then that's a Catholic church. That's still standing today. Oh, to have been here. I wish I was born 15 years sooner, because of course if I would, I'd probably been sitting in jail for trespassing, because I would have been old enough and had my wits enough about me to be able to come down here and do some trespassing and get all this on video before they tore it down. But I gotta swap videos real quick and then we'll do some more walking, or swap batteries real quick and then we'll do some more walking. Okay, I'm not gonna, I mean, this is kind of a public common area because it's kind of a park, but I'm not gonna do too much crazy stuff around this building, so I don't want to get in trouble. But we can come down here around the stack. Still some stuff in there. The M.W. Kellogg Company Chimney Building, New York. No kidding. That's the plenum coming out of the boiler. They need to get that ivy off the building. That ain't good for brick. Like I say, this was built, I've seen several different dates, but 1918, some figure 1918 to 1920-ish. I don't know if that means they started in 1918 and finished in 1920, but 2 years to build a building of this size seems a little long. Of course, there was some union strikes and crap going on around that time frame too, so maybe that affected it. But restoration work started in, I believe it was 2002, which was also would have been when the demolition work on the rest of the plant started, and I think by 2004 it was all finished. And there was a massive boiler inside there. There's, like I said, when I go to those links that I'm going to put down in the description, and there's pictures inside. The guy got to go, and he timed it just right, because the guy got lucky, and the demolition crew took him inside the building, and he got to take pictures pre-complete demolition. And there you can see pictures of the boiler and some of the switch gear and stuff that was inside there before they gutted it and put a showroom in. So that would have been the powerhouse, and then the well house, and the hospital would have been right here, and main assembly would have been right here, and then all the warehousing would have been here along the tracks, and the big warehouse with that electric sign would have been probably right about where that building is right there. And as we saw on that sign, the complex started out with the initial buy at 32 acres, and by the time they got done with all their expansions and everything, it was 49 acres. And I'm actually guessing by the time they shuttered down and demolition had took place, it had actually probably shrunk again, looking at the aerial photo that I have from the 90s. So, and I believe, if you see that derelict building right there, don't quote me, I think that might be part of Studebaker, because I think Studebaker actually had both sides of Chapin Street. I should have asked Dad before I came down, but I think that's one of the only Studebaker buildings left, and it's probably going to get torn down. So, but there should be, and I think, oh yeah, you can see the top of that church right there. But there should be, as long as they're still there, a couple more buildings. One of the Ford shops should still be back there, so we'll drive back and take a look at that. Originally, they thought they were going to keep the powerhouse. I thought there was originally four buildings they were going to try to keep, and eventually, with things happening, they ended up with the powerhouse in that Ford shop, or the boiler house in that Ford shop. So if it was a nicer day out, I'd have taken more time for them with them signs. But that being said, if there's anybody that's that interested, they really need to come here on their own and see it for themselves, because it's worth the look. We'll get back and walk back here and get one more good look at that Oliver shot, or Oliver on the stack, before I get in the truck, and we'll drive around the corner there and see if that foundry building or forge building is still left. There she be. At least we got something, right? Okay, so real quick, we're on the back side of the property now. You can't see the stack anymore, but this would be that Ford shop that was back along the back side along Arnold Street. This is the only other building we got left. That's it. And then this would have, all these houses down here would have been part of the Oliver housing project. So, but this right here isn't exactly the greatest part of town, so I ain't gonna hang out here for more than I have to. So with that being said, that's what I got for you. It was a decent little rain day project, so hopefully everybody got something out of it. And that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.